It's lovely to be here. I mean, it's not just trying to be a good public relations person. It's a place where you feel the exhaustion slipping away into the surf, and the people are very friendly, warm, and welcoming.
There are similarities that you see in the people from Hawaii that are in line with what you are trying to accomplish in your life?
I would say, I mean, one of the wonderful things is the openness of the people. This aloha spirit, welcome, hello, and in a way seeking to embrace others, include others, is something that one hopes the world can learn to not only appreciate, but want to live out, because it's very, very much like something called Ubuntu in our African language. Ubuntu is the essence of being human, and it says a person is a person through other persons. You can't be human in isolation. You can be human only in community, because each makes up what is lacking in the other. And you say, you have gifts that I don't have, and you certainly have got looks that I don't have. But that doesn't matter, because I have gifts that you don't have. And so we make up for each other's lacks, which is very much the story of Adam and Eve, when God says it's not good for this guy to be alone. And he becomes more human when Eve appears on the scene, because she makes up what is lacking in him, and he makes up what is lacking in her.
Yes. Archbishop, what's your motivation for getting up every day and doing what you do? You've done so much already. What is the motivation that keeps you going?
That people are fantastic. You know, you media guys tend to tell mainly the bad stories. You know, good stories are not good news, as it were, for you. And so we are inundated with the bad things that happen. We're hardly ever told about the many good things. You know, just before coming here, we were in South Sudan, and you know, that is a country that has been devastated by strife. And we went to a refugee camp. Now, we don't hear a great deal about the humanitarian workers. These people who come, many of them, almost all of them really come from places where they are comfortable. They have running water, they have electricity, they have all the comforts that you can think of. And here they are going voluntarily to work in places where we are not quite sure about the quality of the water. And I think, we hardly pay enough credit to all of these fantastic human beings. Why do they do it? Because it obviously is not for the pay, and they don't do it to getting the news, because you don't usually write about them. You write much more, and that is probably right. You write about the conflict and all of the awful things. But there are so many good things in the world. And it is knowing that ultimately we are in fact made for goodness. And that each one of us is being enlisted by God. For goodness sake, join my army, as it were. Army is not too militaristic, but join my group to make the world a better place. And there are very many people who try to do that. So just look for those stories and tell people. I mean, just think about young people who go as Peace Corps. They go to remote villages. Now, what are the stories that you tend to write about? You write about the girl who is on drugs. You don't tell us about the several other girls who go and work in very poor countries, maybe going to teach, helping to build schools. Yes, I'd like to be rich and own maybe radio stations and all that kind of stuff, to tell the good stories, to tell people that the world can actually become better. I'm just thinking of what many of the stars actually are doing. Bono works very, very hard to end poverty, but that's not Bono only. I mean, all of you guys here do some extraordinary things. I had a visit from Sharon Stone, and she works with diamond companies, digging companies, and makes sure that part of their profits they use for building wells in different parts of the world where people can't afford it. So that's the world is good. People are fundamentally good. Why we are shocked by badness is precisely because it is an aberration. If it was the normal thing, we wouldn't, we'd just say, oh, well, tough luck. But it is because, if somebody rapes, we don't say, that's the kind of thing that happens in this world. We're appalled and say, this is awful. It ought not to happen. Because we have in us the dream of a world where things like this don't happen.
Heather?
It's a great honor, Archbishop. Thank you so much for life. It's a pleasure having you here. I'm doing a documentary film. It's designed to help newly diagnosed cancer patients with the fear of their diagnosis. Since you are a survivor, I was hoping that if you could go back and meet the younger Archbishop that just was diagnosed with cancer, what would you tell him?
Let me tell you, my wife and I was in hospital and they went and did a biopsy. And in the evening, my doctor came with the urologist to say, oh no, it's all clear. And so Leah and I were more or less jumping around, excited. Then the following morning, I hear, your doctor is coming to see. I said, oh, she's a fantastic woman, this doctor, and my urologist. I mean, they were here last night. They're coming again in the morning. I mean, they are very, very conscientious. And so I mean, here they come, and then they say, well, yes, we don't have such good news. They looked again at the biopsy, and deep down they found, there's cancer. So we were on a high, and then we had this bump, and it did shake us. But it also then began to be, for me, a messenger, reminding me of my mortality. That day, it can be the last time you see this, that, and the other, and you become slightly more appreciative. You're appreciative of the smile of your grandchild. Here we are.
Archbishop, we have a process in Hawaii called ho'oponopono, which is to come together for forgiveness and reconciliation, something you've written a lot about. We try to do good stories, but we also have to deal with headlines like the Colorado shootings and the atrocities in Syria. How do we even start to find that forgiveness?
I don't think you have to kid yourself. It isn't easy to forgive, and that is why it is wonderful, But it is actually much better than allowing you to nurse grudges, because that's not good for your health. I mean, when you have a grudge against someone, you know what happens. I mean, if this guy was someone you didn't like, and you were sitting there, your body tells you. I mean, you have palpitations, your mouth dries up, and it really is not good for your blood pressure. So ultimately, actually, forgiving is one of the best forms of self-love, because you get out of your system the things that tie you up in knots. I mean, all of us know it. I mean, when you have got angry with someone, I mean, you breathe fast, you can feel your heart going, and you got knots in the tum-tum. And the opposite happens when you've decided, look, to say some of the most difficult words in any language, I'm sorry. We find it difficult, so they tell me, this is not autobiography. But I gather they say it's very difficult to say it even to your spouse in the bedroom when there are only the two of you. Yes. Yes, I think I know that. But the thing is, in the end, you release yourself. When you forgive, you untie the handcuffs that handcuff you to the perpetrator. You know, because if you don't forgive, you remain in the condition of the victim, and you are tied to your victimhood, and so this guy can play about with you really. But if you say, actually, it doesn't matter whether he asks for forgiveness, it makes it easier. But even when he does not ask, Jesus said, Father, please forgive them. He's saying about the people who are knocking nails into his... He said, please forgive them. And he even finds an excuse for them. He says they don't know what they are doing. You can forgive even when the perpetrator doesn't ask for forgiveness. You untie yourself. You free yourself from being the victim. And you say, I have given you the gift of my forgiveness. Like, you know, you can have the sun outside and the fresh air, but you can close your windows, you can draw the curtains, and it begins to be dank inside that room. The fresh air is still there outside. The sun is still there outside. To appropriate the forgiveness is like opening the windows, drawing apart the curtains to let the light stream through into your dank room. It's not easy, but when you have done it, it's one of the most, it is one of the most liberating things.
I think we can take one more question.
Grace, it's an honor and privilege to have you here. And I know you're returning to Hawaii, along with your connection to Father Brownridge. Can you tell us, and I know you're going to be doing a blessing of the Hokulea, what is it about Hawaii that you find so special and unique, and maybe the canoe itself, if you could talk a little bit about that?
Long, long ago, when we were very, very young, we used to see depictions of Hawaii with the beautiful young ladies and with their grass skirts, hula, hula, hula. I mean, there is a warm welcoming of others, and I think, that many parts of the world would long to have the same acceptance of others, you know, the diversity that you have. It's something that we long to have in South Africa. We long to celebrate. We speak about our country. We say we want to be the rainbow nation. And at our best, yes, we are that. Like for the World Cup 2 years ago, we were fantastic. We surprised ourselves. And the crooks and the criminals and the thieves also went on holiday for the two months. There was no crime. Fantastic. And you have that, I think. And look at what you've done. You've produced the first black president of the United States.
You're going to be doing lots of events here. Do you have any time to go to the beach, maybe do some surfing?
I love watching surfers. I've not been able to gain the courage to get there myself. We've been around already. Yesterday we were doing quite a bit of sightseeing, and yeah, it is an idyllic place.